Hey, Pastor Josh here. We are reading Genesis chapter 24, verses 42 through 54. The vast majority of the reading today is a restatement of what has already happened. This is the servant talking to Laban, Bethuel, and talking to the family of Rebecca about what happened, how he came and how he was sitting there at the well. He put the camels down and he was praying for Rebecca to come. And so that most of this is almost exact duplication of what we have already read. I'll point out a few additional details that are given in that one, but just know a lot of this you have heard before. Which leads us to the conclusion that this is important. Whenever God repeats something, it's important because he could have just said, Moses when he was writing it down, the Lord when he was inspiring Moses and guiding this process, Moses could have just wrote, and the servant told Rebecca's family everything that had happened. But no, he tells them the exact same story. And paper, in today's day, we would probably try to save some space, try to save some time. It'd be even more so in those day and ages as they are trying to write scrolls, keep these things recorded. They would have wanted to save it. So it's a big deal that this is repeated again. So here's what he says. He said, I came today to the spring and said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if you are prospering the way that I go, behold, I am standing by the spring of water. I think it's a good example for us to follow in the way he's addressing the Lord. Obviously, the Lord knew where the servant was. He wasn't surprised, but I'm glad you told me that you're standing by the spring of water. Thank you so much for that information. No, God didn't need the information. He didn't need to be told where the servant was, but it is a way of the servant interacting with the Lord and sharing his predicament. Here I am. I'm at the spring of water. I'm at the place of decision. I'm at the place where I need you to act. I need you to bring me Isaac's wife. I need you to prosper my mission. So he's like, behold, here I am. I'm waiting. So he's not, that is the heart of the servant's prayer. He's not saying, oh, I'm standing here by the spring of water. He's saying, I'm here and I need you to move, please. So he's saying, I need you to prosper my journey. He says, let the virgin who comes out to draw water, to whom I shall say, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and who will say to me, drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Remember, this isn't just some sort of random question. This would really test the character. This would really test the work ethic. This would really test just the hospitality of a person to be willing to water 10 thirsty camels that have been going for a long, long time. Remember, a camel can drink 50 gallons of water in 3 minutes. So Rebecca truly would have been running to the spring, to the camels, to make them to quench their thirst. And he said, before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her water jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. Notice we have an additional detail here. We're told that the servant said this in his heart. When we're told by the narrator, when we're told by Moses what exactly happened as he was writing this down, he just said that when he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah came out. And the servant is adding here, when I had finished speaking in my heart. That is an attitude for us to remember, is that God hears us wherever we are. We don't have to verbally speak. We can speak to the Lord in our hearts. And when we're starting to talk about the speech of our heart, the speech of our mind, all of us know those do not always take on verbal forms. It can even be a sense of groaning. It can be a sense of emotion. Doesn't necessarily have to take the form of subject, verb, direct object, or take on a specific verbal form. He is speaking in his heart. He is engaging with the Lord in a very intimate way. He didn't have to use his mouth. He was doing this in his heart. So he's sitting there silently at the well, talking to the Lord, and as I would imagine, probably pretty exasperated or at least desperate, thinking that I'm going on this journey. Abraham told me the angel would go before me to prosper my way, and I'm ready to see the Lord work. So here Rebekah comes, and the servant said to her, please let me drink. And she quickly let down her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give your camels drink also. There's that thing, quickly. She's quickly serving, quickly going, showing hospitality. She didn't begrudge at all, but she was quickly going. So I drank, and she gave me the camels drink also. Big deal, big ask. Then I asked her, whose daughter are you? This is a huge question. Whose daughter are you? Because she's actually from Abraham's family, the very place. So the very first girl he went to, the very first spring that he went to, he was able to find. The Lord indeed prospered his journey. So she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. So I put the ring on her nose. Here's an additional detail. We're told in the narrative that it was just a ring. We're told here that it was actually a nose ring. And so they put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her arms. And then I bowed my head and worshiped the Lord. Good example for us to follow in worshiping the Lord when he brings success, when he prospers, when he takes care of us, when he answers our prayer. How many times do we pray and the Lord answers our prayer and then we don't thank him, we don't worship him in response? So it's a good example for us to follow. He worshiped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me by the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. Now then, if you are going to show steadfast love and faithfulness to my master, tell me. And if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. I told you all of this that happened. Now, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let Rebekah marry Isaac? What are you going to do? All this has happened. It seems the Lord has directed it. But what are you going to do? Tell me so that I can do. You can see the eagerness of the servant. He's wanting this to be accomplished. He is wanting it to be finished. Also, I think in the very fact that this speech is repeated, it helps us to realize the power of testimony, the power of witnessing, the power of telling other people what God has done in our life. I think that is something that we need to be paying attention to, is that Moses took the extra effort to write the speech again to show us that if the servant did not tell the exact details to Bethuel, to Laban, to Rebekah's family, if he didn't say the specific details out as how God worked, would they have given Rebekah to Isaac as a wife? It's important for us to share the details of how God has worked in our lives, in particular as we're living in this New Testament age. As we share the specific details of how God has worked in our lives, you know what that witnessing and that testimony will do to other people? It will move their hearts. It'll move them closer to the Lord. If they're lost, perhaps the details of your story will actually bring them to Jesus. The details of your story will encourage them to pray. The details of your story will cause them to search the Lord more. It's very important for us to share our testimony, to share our story with other people. That's what the servant did. And we will see that at the end of the day, they'll say, well, this is definitely from the Lord. So then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, this thing has come from the Lord. Yeah, well, their story, this is definitely from the Lord. This is not coincidence. This is from God. We cannot speak to you good or bad. We can't add to it. We can't take away from it. We can't criticize it, and we can't make it any better, because this is a whopper of a story. This is a good one. And behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has spoken. Again, this is kind of weird to us. This is normal in the culture for the brothers, the elder brother, the fathers to be the ones giving the wife or giving the daughter in marriage. We will see that they will actually ask her in our next reading, okay, you sure you want to go? And she says yes. And so there's a little caveat that we see in this situation. Wouldn't necessarily be the case in the culture at the time. When Abraham's servant heard the words, he bowed himself to the earth before the Lord. He worshipped again. Yes, praise the Lord. He prospered my journey. And the servant brought out jewelry of silver, of gold, and garments, and gave them to Rebekah. Remember, that's what the 10 camels were for, to carry all of these gifts to Rebekah and to the family. He also gave to her brother and to her mother costly ornaments, and he and the men who were with him ate and drank, and they spent the night there. When they rose in the morning, he said, send me away to my master. So they stayed one night, And the servant says, "Send me away to my master." And in that day and age, you could not just get up and leave. It would be rude. You would need to beg for the road. You would need to ask permission to leave. You were a guest. You were being taken care of. You could not just walk out and leave. You would have to say bye. And maybe we would just say, "Okay, I'm leaving. See you later. Thank you so much." In that culture, in that day, you would actually say, Can I go? Please send me away." And if they didn't want to, then you would be kind of stuck there. You would need to stay there if they did not actually let you go. They'd been so kind to you and taking care of you. They then get to decide when it is time for you to leave. And so we'll see that they'll actually, Laban and Rebecca's mommy is actually like, hold on here. I'm not quite sure if we want Rebecca to leave yet. And then there's a little interaction there. But we will see that in the next video, and I pray that has been a blessing to you. We'll see you later.